Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Blue Morpho podcast. I am your host, Maestro Hamilton. And today we have Troy Casey, the certified health nut, with us. And this is going to be epic. So, Troy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Fired up to have you here. How are you?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited that you're in the Amazon and we're having this conversation. I'm as excited as I've ever been. Renewed excitement with this podcast. You know, a lot of where I'm at in the world today was ignited 20 years ago in the Amazon. And I'm excited, man. I'm super excited.
What has you so fired up? What has just recently transpired to bring this level of stoke?
Well, um, So, in essence, my mission is to raise human consciousness and change all systems. My vision is clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems for all of mankind in my lifetime. I'm very clear on that. I came out of the Amazon in 2006. I was working with an herbal company down there, John Easterling, Amazon Herb Company. Um, they were using the top 40 shamanics, Chuchuwasi, Unyagato, Sangre de Drago, and it was a great company, and we were working directly with the Shipipo, and they were harvesting some of the herbs for us. Iparuru, good for inflammation, etc. And so I was enamored with the consciousness and the herbal lore that had been passed down for thousands of years with the Shipipo. And then, of course, I was exposed to ayahuasca the first time I went down there. And I was on a trip with the company, and we went up the Ukiali for half a day or so into a village called Porvenir Village, and it's the village that my business partner John Easterling died in. He had Rocky Mountain spotted fever. He had basically hepatitis, and he had a fever, and he laid down. He was dying, and they fed him the herbs, and they fed him obviously ayahuasca as well, and that healed him. He came out of the jungle, and he was looking for the lost city of El Dorado, and he was looking for gold, and he realized he was cutting the real gold down, the plants that saved his life. And so he came out of the jungle, and about 20 years into his journey after that, I joined him in business, and I had been studying herbal medicine, fasting, juicing for about 10, 15 years before that. As a model, I was sitting in Milan. I was a Versace model, and I needed to know how to look and feel my best in front of the camera for that particular career. And so I got into natural healing back then. And one thing led to the next. I studied with Dr. Schultz and his American Botanical Pharmacy out of Los Angeles. He educated me on wild herbs and the power of herbs to clean the liver, the kidneys, the colon, etc. And so I used to hand out his catalogs and make no money. I was just like, hey, this will help you. And it had a lot of information on the colon and the liver and how the body functioned. And people were real resistant. What are you trying to make money off of me? So when the Amazon Herb Company, I found them, they even had higher vibrational power herbs. And they had a business model where I could earn a commission. And so I took that mission with gangbusters. I won a trip to the Amazon. 2006, I went down. I met with the Shipipo and our vendors. We had a Camu Camu plantation out in Pucallpa. And so I drank the ayahuasca with his friend Scott Peterson, who owned Refugio Altiplano for many years. He started it, and my life changed forever. And I realized my responsibility as a man to do something about what was going on this planet. And working with those plants, working in the Amazon and hearing the politics and understanding oil exploration and lumber and cash crops, I understood that, the potential for ecological disaster down there, it's already happening. And I could really feel it viscerally when I drank the medicine, and I went through my own journeys down there. And I realized that I had a huge responsibility as a man, and I had three visions. One of them was an amalgamation of my on-camera career. I'd been in front of the camera for many years, 35 years now. My natural medicine studies, and I was doing stand-up comedy at the time in Los Angeles, and that merged together as one in ceremony. And the certified health nut, I laughed out loud when I thought up that moniker, and that's been unfolding ever since. You can go back to YouTube when I started. A lot of the footage is in the Amazon, and so that was the first vision. The second vision I had was my daughter came to me. It was a female spirit, and I wasn't married at the time. And I went home and I interviewed every woman that I knew in Los Angeles. A lot of people were there for their acting career, and it's not me, And I ended up getting married. We conceived quickly, and my daughter was the second child that came, and she is a force to be reckoned with. She's 13, and I mean you know what visions are like, right? And for them to come and manifest and unfold, and so my family is still unfolding. My daughter, my whole relationship with her, and she is a superstar. I don't want to put her on social media right now because of all the complications with that and exploiting her or any of that stuff. But I can barely hold her back. She's got a little cooking show that we do together. She's just a force to be reckoned with. And so that was my second vision. The third vision was that humanity makes it from the precipice of ecological disaster, and we make it through whatever we're going through right now. That was accelerated through 2012. It was accelerated through the pandemic and all the stuff that we saw last 4 years or so. And it's exactly where we're at right now. And call it New Earth or whatever have you. This is what we're going through. And it was confirmed today. I have a client in Africa, and she works with indigenous, and she's working on, she cured some eye disease that they had. And also there's poaching for ivory. And so she has a whole foundation, and she was talking to me about the elders, and her mission is to mapping the indigenous knowledge and wisdom. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, this is really at the cornerstone of what it's all about, Hamilton. It's not just about going down to the Amazon and just exploring myself. Like, I have a responsibility, and there is a bigger picture that, we're all here for. And so, that call was just an hour ago or so, and it just reignited because I get caught up in business. I got to have my website running. I've got to do good in the third dimension, right? I'm here. And so I have to be strong. I have to be strong for my family. I have to be strong for my mission. I have to dance in the third dimension, right? And do really good. And sometimes we can get caught up in that. And you lose money, or there's a lawsuit, or just headaches, right? It's this is kind of our soul's journey. But I am so happy just to be renewed with that woman that inspired me, and we helped point her in the right direction. So that's why I'm so fired up, man. I'm just excited. And social media, I came out of the jungle with this footage in 2006 of the Shipipo and my first time drinking ayahuasca. And I posted it on YouTube. YouTube was a new distribution platform, and the rest, is history. So I'm just excited. I'm super excited.
That's incredible. What happened with that footage when you put it on YouTube in 2006?
So the very first video, I had a couple channels. One's called Mr. Troy Casey, and it's called Amazon Troy. I don't even think I have the passwords for it anymore. But I played that video, and I had that camera. I played it at my wedding with my wife. We went to Vegas, and Vegas is kind of weird. I don't know. We just went there to do paperwork, and this woman pastor, I don't know. It was just weird. It was like we could have the Elvis scenario, or we could have this. And I was just like, let's go out underneath the moon. I was like, there was a moon out there, and it was in the parking lot, but I was like, I want to be outside. And then this woman, she was kind of like chain smoking and drinking, it was Vegas. it was just kind of a weird thing. And we went out there. I just wanted to get the paperwork done. And then I was like, you know, she was doing her thing, but it just seemed like it was so mechanical. And I was like, give me a minute, please. And I turned on the recording and she sung us through, right? And so that was in 2006. And that recording, I don't know how many views it got, but I used it in a lot of my presentations. I mean, it could probably still make me cry to this day. Just the octaves of the Icaros and the cacophony of insects that were in the jungle that day. I mean, it was loud. This recording is loud. I'll send it to you later. I'll make sure my team gets it out to you. But it's just a fantastic recording. I actually played it at the psychedelic conference. Aubrey Marcus was in Egypt. He couldn't make it. So I came in and did the keynote at the psychedelic conference here in Phoenix. And I played it as an intro. And here we are at a huge conference talking about psychedelics, and no one's bringing in the indigenous wisdom. I'm like, what? And so people thanked me for that afterwards. And I was so grateful for that opportunity and to have a large stage and to be able to bring that type of medicine, because the medicine works through the songs. And for years, I worked with Elisa and helping her understand to get that music out to people. And funny story is, she let me film in a ceremony one time, and I had an old camera, and it only shot 5 frames per second. I'll send you the list with these Icaros on there. The funny story is, I was in Sedona in 2020. We moved there from LA after the chaos started, and I was sitting in a yoga class in Shavasana, and there goes my recording. Somebody had taken off of it and made like a electronic dance, kind of low down tempo, like ecstatic dance type of music with that Icaro. And that's why I took it out of the jungle in the first place. I could hear Wu-Tang 808 beats behind this music. And so Simon Rex, who's a famous rapper, comedian, he ended up making it into a song for me. I'll send that to you as well. And so, yeah, those Icaros, I mean, all that stuff lives in my heart, man. It lives in my heart. It's on my YouTube channel. It's out there. It's on a playlist that I have that I still send out to a lot of people. And, you know, I'm so grateful for the energy, the frequency and vibration that I picked up down there, the medicine that I did almost 20 years ago. And like, I got the messages, you know, I got the message. I can hang up the phone. I have a job to do. And this is my job, right? Is helping elevate everyone else.
What an incredible job. You know, you mentioned the precipice that we are as humanity today and what we're really facing and this mission. And it seems to come through the medicine and be a universal mission. I was talking with just by off chance, a billionaire yesterday who, same thing, has now gone deep into the medicine and has awakened a consistent message and a consistent mission of the future of humanity is in our hands. It's in our consciousness itself. We must elevate humanity beyond the precipice we're on. There's technology that's involved, but ultimately it's us as the people that's involved in making that happen. And I'm hearing this message consistently start to come through. And this is why I'm still down here, because I got this message 20 years ago, like you did 20 years ago. And it's been coming through the medicine in a consistent and real way. And it's been, you know, now starting to hear it come from others. 20 years ago, when I had the message, I didn't hear it echoed. I didn't know other people to have it echoed by either. I was off in the forest listening to this, and we hadn't fast forwarded 20 years to where we are today. But it seems like this is now such an important time to put this message out there and share in the nature of this mission. This, in my mind, is the mission. The mission is the future of all species. It's the future of life. It's the future of humanity. And it's the next evolution that we become. It's not fixing what went wrong in the past. It's everything now becoming the springboard of a new evolution for us and an elevated state that we come into. considering that we're on this precipice and there is this acceleration that could be seen in a dystopian nature, and I hear that narrative all the time, and I'm not interested in that narrative anymore. I'm only interested in the narrative of how we use this as the springboard to what, really comes next. For you, what is health in today's day and age? How do we address this precipice that we're on? How do we make it through that? How is that being communicated?
Well, I think it's very important as Westerners, some of the last vestiges of freedom on the planet are still in the United States. We have our God-given rights written on a piece of paper, First Amendment, protected by the Second Amendment. And these things are pretty important. So it's a good idea to use your voice. And we are only healthy to the degree we are conscious, and we are only conscious to the degree we are healthy. Now, the food supply in the United States has been poisoned. Most people are not fully aware of that, but I have clients go to Europe all the time, ice cream and pizza and pasta, and lose weight. And so the food supply is definitely harmed here. The soil, the food supply, the chemicals, etc. And so recognizing that, my children went to school at Westside Waldorf, and there was plenty of Hollywood type money there. And usually the affluent, with children that had some type of peanut allergy or gluten allergy or intolerance or poison injection injuries and stuff like that, what happens is they end up finding Ayurvedic doctors, naturopaths, health coaches like myself, holistic health, and they figure it out. So the thing that I tell my clients and the people that follow me is raise your frequency and vibration as much as you can in this current environment. I talk about this in my book, Ripped at 50. I wrote this. This is a big part of my journey in the Amazon. And so I want to make sure that you guys have a copy down there in the Amazon as well. And so bottom line, I want to get a couple of them for your center. But the bottom line is it's imperative that we raise our frequency and vibration. Eating only organic food, voting with your dollars. We see what this whole election type situation, the political scape, which is intertwined with corporatocracy. And so the bottom line is they only listen when you vote with your dollars. And so if we stop investing in garbage and start investing in pure food for our own bloodstream, we can raise our frequency and vibration right there, because food is medicine. And food is also included in herbs. We just lost our way when it came to herbs. Food is not just domesticated bananas, oranges, apples, lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, 15 or so fruits and vegetables. It goes into the herbal nutrition as well. And so food is medicine, and we've gotten so far away from it. And then most people are asymptomatic, but they're walking fat, sick, and nearly dead. 70% of the American people are obese or overweight right now. The number 2 killer of teenagers 10 to 14 is suicide right now. So we have a huge mental health issue. You've got a soil depletion so that people don't have mineral balance. They can't manufacture the proper hormones. So they're completely out of balance. You add to that, poor water choices, as well as whatever is in the air and the atmosphere, chemical surface runoff, pesticides, herbicides, glyphosate. And so we get to navigate this whole experience, but food is so important. And then investing all of your money in your bloodstream. So we don't really need Netflix and these other things, especially, just look at some of the indigenous cultures around the world. A lot of people live in shanty houses, right? And so where industry has come through, displaced them off of their land. You see this in India as well. So the fact that we don't live on the street, that's a good thing. So start investing in your own health, raising your frequency and vibration. And then what I teach in my curriculum and in my book is there's nothing new under the sun. The body needs sunlight. It's the source of all life on the planet. We are electromagnetic beings, electricity from the sun and magnetism from the earth. It's a good idea to get grounded and out into the natural elements as much as possible. We're in relationship with everyone and everything. So it's a good idea to make peace, have gratitude and forgiveness for all that's around us. breathing is so important. It's the first form of nutrition. No oxygen in 3 to 5 minutes and you're dead. So it's a good idea to optimize your breathing mechanics. Lots of breath work and Wim Hof type stuff all over the internet. Then the body requires movement. The purpose of exercise is to move the lymphatic fluids. Everybody needs to move, and the walking is the best exercise. If you're overweight, walk to work. How about that? Or use your locomotion, get a bicycle. The body needs to sleep. The body's mostly water, 70% water. It's a good idea to have some pure water. So these are fundamental basics. Also understanding how the mind thinks and receives information in images, and the corporations and the school system is programming you. So how do you deprogram the mind and start thinking for yourself? And so these are the fundamental principles. There's nothing new under the sun. This is what we teach. Raise your frequency and vibration step by step, inch by inch, makes life a cinch. And the more that we can do that, once you understand this and practice it, you're a leader by default. If you're one step ahead of your brother, you offer the olive branch back to them, or you just give them a hand if you're hiking up the mountain, if they can't see something that they could pitfall. And so you're a leader by default. So it's time for us all to basically rise up, especially anyone who's listening to this podcast is already enlightened to one degree or another. And so invest all your money in good products, soil, farmer direct. Farmers are super important. And don't buy the commercial, unplug from the commercial conduits. They're not healthy.
It's amazing. If you put all of that together, you have a true holistic health plan and life, and you were able to bring it down in 5 minutes on the podcast and just break it all down. It's so true. The soil issue is significant, and we're seeing now in the Amazon after 20 years of this that it's taking a longer period of time for people to detox when they come into ceremony, and they prep the week before, so that they come ready. And even then, as the ayahuasca starts to go through their body, it's pulling stuff out that wasn't there 20 years ago. And people go through a slightly different experience going into the retreat through the first, 2 ceremonies of it as they're actually releasing. And, with ayahuasca, especially, I don't know many other ways to be able to cleanse the body. Ayahuasca has this very unique capacity to draw out of the cells, and people feel it. It feels like they say their cells were being squeezed and all this stuff was coming out of it, and this kind of toxic illness is coming out of their bodies. And then their consciousness naturally awakens after it. They feel lighter. We had people last week saying that colors are brighter. The air smells better. They can smell the flowers from across the distance. Their smell's on. Their senses are back on. It seems like this is now a real problem. What do we do with detox, et cetera, to address this? We have become sponges for these pesticides, herbicides, and what other petrochemicals that are in our environment.
Yeah. So, I've been working with this for, many years. Even when I was working with the Amazon Herb Company, we had the treasure tea, which had chuchuasi, unidagato, pod arco, antifungal, natural herbs. But like you said, we're dealing with nanotechnology right now. Dr. Edward Group says they're seeing hydrogel in the blood, these blue neon elements inside the blood. They also found synthetic red blood cells. Like, you've got self-assembling nanotechnology. Alana Friedland talks about this. Transhumanism. They want to upload us to the cloud. They want to upload our consciousness to the cloud. And so, I've been working with cleanse and detox and fasting for a long time. I particularly like green juices. Green juices are known to have superoxide dismutase. It allows the cells to replicate properly. I also practice urine therapy, and Dr. Edward Group, who has urinetherapy.com, says the only way out of this nanotechnology and this real machine stuff that's coming into the body is going to be utilizing urine therapy, because it has the stem cells that activate your true DNA replication. And so, I don't promote urine therapy. I talk about my experience, but it's too
Yeah.
much of a mental shift for most people, so I don't promote it. But I do talk about it. And so he said that, but also Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt and Dr. Mercola produced a podcast April 21st, 2021, where Dietrich Klinghardt is the number one guy on autoimmune Lyme disease and people healing from chronic fatigue. And whether you use cilantro and ginger and clays and charcoal, you need chelators and binders. Cleanse and detox is no longer a health protocol. It's a survival mechanism. And so having greens, superoxide dismutase, indole carbonol 3, things that are going to clean the receptors when you're out of the jungle, you're living in the modern world. You need things like zeolites, humic and fulvic acids. These things are natural detoxifiers on the body, and then you're going to need something to absorb them: clay, zeolite, charcoal, and this is part of your nutritional diet. I partnered with David Sandoval and his company Purium many years ago. He's been in business for 35 years. He's got farmland in Utah. They grow organic kamut from the Egyptian tombs. Anne Wigmore, the mother of wheatgrass, left her legacy to David Sandoval. And so he's been growing this stuff and dehydrating it for over 35 years. And he's got a great company, and I partnered with them. We have an ultimate lifestyle transformation, and I work with a lot of the centers. I work with Rhythmia, I work with Beyond to help clean their clients out before they get down there. And so it's another tool in the toolbox. I like to tell people I'll save them time and money at the grocery store eating organic food. It's very hard to source really pure stuff these days. So those are some of the things that you can do. And then when it comes to your macronutrients, you want to go to the farmers markets. You want to work with the homesteaders, the people, the Amish, the Mennonites, the people that have raw milk, they have pure food. After I'm done with you, I'm going to go, there's a drop-off point, and I pick up my milk. I have some milk, some burgers, and some eggs. And so all from Mennonite farmers, pure stuff, right? You have to source the best you can because we've also contaminated the environment. As Klinghardt talks about, whatever they're spraying out of the skies to manipulate the weather, that's coming inside the body. And you're starting to see it with the trees. The trees are all dried up here in the desert. And there was problems in Northern California with the beetles, the host organisms, because the trees are intelligent. They're going to stop uptaking nutrients from the soil because you have aluminum and barium that's coalescing onto the ground. And so it's poisoning them. So the trees stop taking in nutrients, and then the host organisms, the beetles, they wipe out the redwoods. These are old growth forests. So this is part of the precipice of ecological disaster that we find ourselves at. And so we're only as sick as above, so below is the natural law of correspondence. So how do we expect the world to be healthy if we're not healthy ourselves? And energetics, right? So when we get our energetics right, we get our prayers right. This is what the African lady was talking to me about, similar to the way the Kogi pray, right, in Colombia. And so because it comes into the energy first. And so we must raise our frequency and vibration, get our prayers down right so that we don't go off that cliff into, complete disaster. And so, and I am an eternal optimist. I think there is really good news coming. There are miracles coming.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The miraculous is, to me, the most important thing happening right now. And in our teachings, we share how to see everything in the form of the miraculous, from the universe itself, to not distance that from the understanding of source, that source is part of the universe and the universe is source. And that spirit runs through all of that, which is this incredible animus and flow of energy. That's part of it. It's not some dystopian, distant concept to have to try to wrap our heads around. It's actually a fundamental way of describing the nature of the universe itself. And that you get all the way to the miracle of biological life, like how over billions of years did Earth actually form and come into existence? And we can study that in our natural history and ultimately see this incredible moment that it all comes down to, where you single cell and become part of this life and part of the history of the earth. And the universe fundamentally changes when that happens. There's the universe before you, and now there's the universe with you. And that's a very different universe. And I think now we have to allow the miraculous to come back in, because the forces that are driving all of the different things that you just described are, first of all, human created forces, right? We created the market dynamics, we created money, we created the use of these technologies and poisons for the purposes that they're being used for. And we're even the ones creating the nature of the technology and this idea that you could somehow move your consciousness from the human vessel into this cloud concept. And so I think if we're at a point where that narrative to destruction seems so powerful, what actually shifts this is massive change. It's 0 to 1 moments that are found inside and part of these kinds of moments in history where there's such intense transformation taking place. There's environmental transformation right now. There's human transformation. It's happening through the nature of our consciousness. I think that ancient wisdom now, it seemed like that got distanced. When I was growing up in school, ancient wisdom was separate from wisdom. And we had like our knowledge, our school knowledge, and we would think to go study ancient wisdom. Not ancient wisdom is actually the forefather of the wisdom we have today. And so this idea of going back to the sacred carriers of the wisdom of our planet, and, they're not just the indigenous, they're human ancestors. They're the people of the world that have been, existing and living, is necessary now in the preservation more than ever of their knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. And this woman was saying that they get together and they do these big prayers and energy. They get the energy so high, and that's what they believe is going to usher in, the next level of consciousness. But let me share some old wisdom with you. This is the Saint Teresa prayer, and so it says, "May today there be peace within. May you trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born in faith in yourself and others." That's a big one right there. May you use the gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. May you be content with yourself just the way you are. Let this knowledge settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing, dance, praise, and love. It is there for each and every one of us.
What a beautiful prayer.
That's where we're headed. We get lost in the minutia, but in an instant, the miracles that are in us and others, it can shift everything.
Think about that in the terms of keystone technologies, is what I call them. There was, before the arch, the big thing about the arch was the keystone. It was this unique shape that had to be imagined to be able to create the arch. And then once the arch was formed by that keystone, all of these laws of physics and forces came into play to be able to make it such a powerful aspect to architecture and ultimately the way we think. And I think of a keystone piece of technology as the nature of that miracle that comes into play now. And I think that that's, for the people of higher vibration, that's what we have to all ally around, is an understanding that the miraculous creates something completely new. And when
Right.
that miraculousness comes in, it's not what was, it's a game changer. Everything is now different because that moment happened. And that moment could be right now, or it could be in 5 seconds or 5 years. We don't know. But that's what we're honing in on and wanting to create.
Well, that's a good reminder for me, because I'm of the ilk. I like Buckminster Fuller. He says, you don't fight the existing systems, you design the future, and that will fall to the wayside. And so, and then I have my little president of planet Earth gimmick that I run every time the election season comes on, or the selection season. So, but my platform is real, right? So I run on the hashtags free energy, gift economy, self-care education, and permaculture. So permaculture is food is free when we set up the food forests. Self-care education, if everyone would just take care of their own real estate, the world would be a better place. if we naturally take care of ourselves, that's why I'm here to change the world, because I live in the world. My children live in the world. If I don't make a difference, then we're all going to be eating Soylent Green. And Soylent Green was people, if you're old enough to remember that one. It was Charlton Heston. It was a dystopian film in the 70s. Gift economy. The Zulu nation has that word. It means contributionism, right? We all have our unique gifts. And so I always like to say, the number one fear is public speaking, but I don't have a problem with that. So that's my unique gift. Some people are good with children. Some people like to cook food. Some people like to grow food. Some people like to criticize food. Those are called food critics, and they're actually a very successful business, right? And so we all have our unique gifts, but we're trading these magical pieces of paper in for our time, and nobody's really giving our gifts. And then finally, free energy, somehow harnessing 0 point technology, cold fusion, or how to make energy without pollution, speaking it into existence, no different from the Wright brothers wanting to fly like an eagle, or Steve Jobs trying to put these handheld computers in everyone's hands. So everybody said that they were crazy. So there is nothing impossible. And so that's my President of Planet Earth platform, and literally speaking that into existence, because these are major solutions that'll make the old systems fall to the wayside, and we'll just go over here. We can use technology to help ourselves and to help people that don't have enough.
Yeah, I love that. The earlier when you were talking about your mission, you included total system change. It wasn't just an aspect or big, it was everything. It was everything. And I think that now we're experiencing total system change of what was. And it doesn't mean total system change is positive unless we know how to make it positive. And before that, there was total system change. And before agriculture and the domestication of grains, all those created total system change. And for people who are out there listening and thinking about this, I want us to understand that the evolution of total systems is actually something that's ongoing. And we can be part of that. It's not like that's someone else's responsibility or someone else's job, but rather all the systems that today seem like the fabric of the way reality is actually fabrications of people and our ancestors, generation by generation, creating the nature of these systems themselves. When I was studying to discover sanctuary, part of that spiritual journey was to go into the plant medicine space and stay there. But I didn't just stay there in trance. I stayed there and researched what happened. How did all this come about? And a lot of people don't know that money is a technology. Money didn't exist hundreds of thousands of years ago. Money is a very recent new technology that we created as a way to abstract value in our mind and attach the symbol to something else. And we used all sorts of things to represent that symbol. And just most recently now, digits in a computer to be able to represent that. Before the proliferation of computers, if you told people there would be, digital dollars that you could go to your digital bank account, they would have laughed at you 50 to 100 years ago. Right. And so I want us to think we can change all of this. None of this has to stay this way long.
Yeah. And I like to say that, ultimately there is no bad or good. This is our soul's journey. This is humanity's journey through time and space. And I'm grateful for the use of money and everything that we have. And money would be a cute idea if it was actually egalitarian, right? But it's not. It's fictionalized, and it's there to benefit some and harm others. And so, and I like, when I talk about systems change, I like to align everything with biomimicry, which states life creates conditions conducive for life. So a spider at aqueous solution, room temperature, from materials in its local environment, creates something that's 5 times the strength of steel. Coral reef is another example. So we can create things that are going to create less waste and less harm for the environment, and that will enhance everything. And so, in fact, the company that I work with, the superfood company, we went plastic free a couple of years ago. So we eliminated all the plastic bottles for our herbs and capsules and superfoods and our scoops and all of that stuff. And we have compostable bags made out of hemp, bamboo, and tree sap. There's innovation for you. If we got all the other companies to do that, because we have forever chemicals in our environment right now. And I know Paul Stamets has materials, mushroom materials that will eat toxic waste. So we have solutions. They're just right around the corner. We're just creating so much industrial waste that we've got to have true innovation, true elevation of consciousness to usher in these new systems that make the other ones obsolete.
What about the soil and regenerative practices, sustainable food supply, et cetera, going forward? How does that possibly shift and change so that we can actually produce food on a global scale for an indeterminate number of people, more 10x humanity as it currently is, and actually solve the soil problem?
Well, I think the British Soil Association.org, I do believe, is their website. They have a lot of this data, and the American military did a lot of research with Asian farms, because Asian farms were producing on like an acre, they would outperform 10 acres in the United States of commercial farming. And so it really comes down to permaculture and producing high quality food. Right now, we're creating food. I don't know if you read the book 2001 and a Space Odyssey. The movie wasn't as exemplary, but in the book, he went to this uh, apartment. I think it was his apartment or something. And he pulled out a carton of food or some kind of, and there was nothing in the food. It was a facsimile of the food, right? And that's what we're dealing with right now. You read all these ingredients and these nutritional elements, but if you put it down your neck, it's like all you do is get bigger, right? And so it's like a facsimile of food. And people tell me organic food is more expensive. I don't know, man. I don't eat a lot of calories, but the stuff that I eat is super high vibe, and I sustain myself. And so uh, eating non-foods, costs us so much more in energy and everything else. So not only permaculture and growing food, uh, in a more sustainable, regenerative way, and getting back to Alan Savory's got a lot of information on the grasslands and grass-fed ruminants stepping on the poop and putting it into the microbes and aerating the soil. Like if we just get back to the natural element, like things naturally balance. But right now we're trying to control everything with manifest destiny type consciousness. And
Yeah.
again, that took us from wherever we were to where we are now. But that's where this indigenous wisdom, this natural rhythm of life comes back in. My mentor likes to say, putting stagnant linear inputs into a harmonic dynamic system creates chaos. So all we kind of got to do is get out of the way and go back and have that Tai Chi through this dynamic wave that we're all rolling through, and create systems that are aligned with biomimicry, permaculture, and regenerative farming, no-till farming. We've been tilling the dirt and using machinery to do that, and we don't have to.
Yeah, it's incredible. The results of regenerative farming are off the charts. The turnaround time for nature is elastic, how fast nature just shifts everything. I love to see that. Down here, you'll see an agricultural plot that just starts to regrow jungle. It doesn't grow it back the same, but it just regrows it. Nature wants to regrow if it can. If we're not putting the retardants on life, life wants to take over everything again. Technology's been a big piece of how all of this has happened, not just information technology and computers, but just technology in general. It started with the domestication of animals and grains, and then it moves into different, material sciences, the Bronze Age, Iron Age, Steel Age, et cetera, the harnessing of nature for energy, et cetera. And now artificial intelligence is, at least in the forward facing tools, just so we're clear, they're not exactly intelligent in their own right, not like you are in the way that you think, right? At least like the LLM models and stuff like that. But right down along the road from here, a number of evolutions, it could very well be that way. And I was just seeing a video today on the brain technology interfaces that are now operatable as at the same speed as humans using mouses and keyboards and things like that. What role do you think AI can have in the positive version of all of this going forward? Does it have a role in your mind in the greater flow? And how does that come together to bring technology, modernity, Western life, and this indigenous flow?
Well, I choose to know. I mean, well, first and foremost, my team is a little bit more adept at using whatever rudimentary uh, technological intelligence out there. Artificial intelligence is neither, right? And it lacks humor, right? That's the one thing. And somebody gave me a search engine for one of these GPT type of things. It wasn't chat GPT, it was something else. And I looked up my name, and I'm basically like a right-wing misogynist that is a COVID denier. And I'm like, I've done so much work, and you scrubbed the internet, and that's what you came up with? I'm like, who's programming this, right? And so it wasn't that intelligent, you know? And so look, my team's using some of it right now to help get the message out. And I do believe that attention currently is like the new oil, right? It's what John D. Rockefeller discovered. It's once you can get the attention from viral activity or whatever, like you can, I mean, I have the ability to be my own distribution platform, um, write books. I don't have to go through a publisher anymore, et cetera. So there's real power there. And at the same time, um, I also have to watch what I say because free speech isn't completely free anymore. Um, so we can use some of this technology to get the message out. But my objective is, the total liberation of human beings, so we can all make informed decisions. Right now, we don't have informed consent. We have propaganda, and people
Yeah.
are being programmed. And we've got Operation Mockingbird, you've got MK Ultra. I mean, there's layers of men who stare at goats, right? They studied all this psychic phenomenon, and they tried to use it against people. And so we're breaking free from that now. I choose to know what it looks like in the future, but I studied with Maori healers from New Zealand for many years. And Papa Joe, the great Maori healer, he told me before he died, he said, the human being is the most technological advanced piece of equipment in the whole entire universe. And he says, beings of the dark, they want to attach themselves to you because that's like a roller coaster ride to like an energetic being. And I'm sure you experienced some of that in your work. But the fact of the matter is, these devices are prosthetics compared to what we can achieve. And Einstein said we're only using 5% of our brain. And so, what are the capabilities? Me using some of these, the plant medicines, the powerful ones, especially ayahuasca, you can see things completely different that you didn't even see before. I mean, I went down to the Amazon. I wasn't totally asleep. I'd been practicing Vipassana meditation for many years. But the level of peeling back the veil of illusion was like, whoa, yeah, the earth is kind of fragile. And I've been gifted with some intelligence and some power, and I have some responsibility. Like that veil was ripped right off. I
Yeah.
came back to North America and got busy. It's all documented on YouTube. I've been saying the same thing for many years. So I do believe this is the way I see technology. It's our whipping boy, not the other way around. We don't want to be enslaved with the Matrix. How many Matrix movies did Keanu Reeves make? Like 4, right? We don't want to be enslaved. We don't want that dystopian. I do believe that we can create peace and harmony, rhythm and flow. I believe that all human beings at the heart level desire peace. I believe from my experience with ayahuasca, nothing but love and gratitude, coming out of ceremony. And I do believe that is the next evolution of our consciousness. is when we all rise to the level of Jesus Christ. The second coming of Christ is when we all elevate to post ayahuasca ceremony. Grace and gratitude for everything, right? Forgiveness, gratitude, and moving towards how can we find that peace, that so delicious feeling of harmony and peace, instead of chaos and the election and I'm right and you're wrong and let's drop bombs on those people and let's lie to everybody and steal their natural resources, and then we lie to each other and we poison our families and the guy down the street. Like, it's crazy, right? Let's have another thought, right?
Yeah. If what you're saying isn't just fact, what is all of that? That's a big question I have. Why is it happening? I've asked this since I was younger. It's one of the reasons I came down to the Amazon. Why does the world have to be like this right now? Why is it lie, cheat, and steal? And ultimately, we leave here. We leave here without any of it, just like you showed up here without any of it. You leave here like you're gonna go. What is that driver that is making people act like that? Now, I'm with you that it's not all dystopian, but we have to make our choice. One of the things that's really powerful that comes through ayahuasca is the ability to make a sovereign choice and to reclaim your choice and let go of the programming that you got in that propaganda space about what choices you make. And I think reclaiming your sovereign choice now is more important than ever. And it's a really simple thing to do. You just recognize it's your choice. And then, it helps with something like ayahuasca to open you up beyond that, to see through it. Like you say, ripping the mask off. I think people live in a state of hypnosis now, and it's really hard to tell somebody who's hypnotized that what they call real or reality is actually a hypnotic state and not just a fundamental, factual, unilateral truth that we all share. I know for people who haven't had this experience, it sounds even stranger. And there's indigenous tribes that swear that Westerners are in a dream. They're in a dream state. They're not awake enough, like literally waking up. Like you see somebody sleeping, they're walking around. They think they're sleepwalking. I think these are the things people talk about in this process. From that, we have to do something about it. Like, I support your mission. I think your mission is the mission that there is, which is we elevate vibration and we recognize that this 3D world is not the only world. There's more than the 3D world. There's a 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D nature to this place. The 3D is one aspect of it. We have to manage it and become stewards of that. When we wake up and we regain our sovereign choice, you're free. And then you can see the nature of the propaganda for what it is. The attention economy that you mentioned is so key. You have to take your attention back. It's yours and someone else is making money off of it. It's your attention, right? You got to claim that like your choice and decide what you want to do with that. It's been an odd, 20 years while you've been awakening with plant medicine and I've been awakening with it. And we've both been helping others try to raise their vibration and understand the greater mission. There's a lot that's really trying to maintain those lower vibratory states and get us into a kind of hypnotic monotony that exists the whole time. And I truly believe that even though that happens, it has no inherent true power in the long run. We had in the last retreat, there were a lot of people who had a lot of fear. There's this deep fear inside everybody. And they got to the experience of the medicine and they just locked down into fear instead of freeing themselves from the fear. And I see a lot of people now coming with this deep-seated fear. And I've shared with them, it took about 3 to 4 days to break this spell. I said, the darkness has no power unless you give it power. You're the one with all the power. It doesn't have any power unless you give it power. You get scared and you give it your power. So take your power back and sit in your power and your sovereign choice and have a glimpse of a reality beyond the nature of the marketing and the propaganda that we've been involved in and all the lies, like you mentioned, in the, now online sphere over our attention, and just find our center once again.
Yeah, you mentioned, technology, and in the book I have the 9 pillars of health, the 7 factors of stress, and the 5 detoxification pathways. And one of the 7 factors of stress is electromagnetic radiation and pollution. That's not even including It takes the mind 20 minutes to refocus every interface that you go, whether it's email, social media, texting. And so our minds, it's taking a lot of energy. So what I tell people is if you're not making money online, get off social media, buy a flip phone, because those things will consume you unconsciously and you won't even know it. If you choose to stay online, join me in business. I'm here to get the world healthy. I work with an organic superfood company. I'll train you to become a holistic health coach, etc. Join me, join my team in business, but don't stay stuck. Make and manufacture good content. If you like my content, repurpose that. Join me in business somehow. We'll find a way, or there's multiple ways, but we'll find out what your gift is. Because just staying on social media unconsciously, it's like a Chinese finger puzzle. The more you fuck with it, the more it fucking traps your fingers, right? You're like, oh shit. And 2 hours later, you're like, shit, where did the time go? And you got to crink in your neck and you're messing up your posture and it's draining you. And electromagnetic situation is stressing you out. So really recognize that, especially if you as a human being listening or watching, you don't have the optimal energy that you had when you were younger. Like just start there. You can start just naturally tweaking things. Get out into the sun more. Get grounded every day. Switch to all organic food. Just these small things. Go forgive everybody that fucked you over. How about that? You want to free up some energy? Just be like, you know what? I'm a walking ball of forgiveness. I forgive you. Let me just let it go. Even if it doesn't work out perfectly at 100%, just start moving in that direction. You'll free up so much energy.
So true. You put a call out there for people to be able to join you. How do they do that? How do people get in contact with you? How do they follow you? What opportunities are there for them? Go into that for a bit.
Yeah, so certifiedhealthnut.com, certified health nut, pretty much across the internet, YouTube, where I've been longest, Instagram, TikTok, at certified health nut. And so you can Google Troy Casey as well. So I have my coaching program, my online coaching program, and my online school, Knowledge of Self University. We're on the Circle app. You can find that through my website as well. And then we have various coaching programs. I certify my coaches. It's about 50 hours worth of work. It's an 11-week course. You get a one-on-one session with me. And then we go through the 9 pillars curriculum during that 11 weeks. We have a test and you pass that. And again, I'm not trying to make, another health coaching certificate. What I am doing is boiling it down to simplicity, basics. People look at what happened in the biohacking space. At least that whole branding helped open people's minds towards more health, right? But it's still gadgets and gimmicks and drugs, right? There's still like peptides and TRT steroids, and so it's still kind of gimmicky. What we're talking about is nature. Getting back to nature is many possibilities. We are aligned with the celestial realm. So cortisol rises when the sun rises, and the melatonin rises when the moon comes up. So it's a good idea to start harmonizing your hormones and your sleep cycles, on these basic fundamental principles. Breathing mechanics are important, movement. We don't need high intensity exercise. So I'm here to remind people just about these basic fundamental principles. And something as simple as movement, people complicate these things. The other thing is understanding how your mind's programmed. A lot of people on social media are on steroids. If they're teaching fitness, they're on steroids. And they're not telling you about their secret injection of steroids. What they're selling you is some high intensity workout or some diet plan that doesn't include organic food. I don't tell people what to eat. You've got to discover what works for you. I tell you, the quality of food that you eat is directly related to the quality of life that you lead. And so again, this demystifies this whole sea of like Andrew Huberman 3-hour podcast on biochemical pathways and stuff. And people are mesmerized, but what do? We still got 70% of the American people are obese or overweight. We've got chronic disease going through the roof. There's no need for the fancy stuff unless we have our basics covered. And so getting back to the roots of what makes a human being alive and thrive. And so I certify people as a certified health nut. I mean, who doesn't want to be a certified health nut, right? And then I also work with David Sandoval's Purium company. We have an incredible team. We do good business, lots of business every year, helping people eat cleaner and greener. We have 75 herbal products and superfoods, wheatgrass, spirulina. We have dehydrated aloe vera for the gut. We've got a biomedic that restores the gut microbiome. It's the only super probiotic on the market proven to pull the glyphosate out of the tissue. And then everything's expanding. I mean, I've been at this for 20 years. I'm not stopping. This is a legacy business, a legacy brand. And so join us with your gifts. Maybe you have some gifts to help the team out to go to the next level. I let people write their own ticket. And so we figure out what your gifts are, we take you to the next level, and then we see how I can help you. My job as a business owner is to get an influx of people that we can help. And we keep flipping on more and more people until the vibration just pops. Boom.
I love it. I'm a fan. I appreciate you coming to the podcast. Do you have any last words of wisdom for everybody? That was a lot. You dropped a lot of knowledge on us in this podcast, but any last thing that you would like people to know from this?
Yeah, I mean, just love and blessings. God bless everyone. This is a very powerful time. And, I'll leave you with this. The Maori, they like to sing and play music when they're healing people, and they're known as the bone crushers. And they step on people's calves and squish them with rocks and sticks. And I've heard people scream bloody murder, and they're out there singing and cracking jokes. And I asked them why one day, and they go, well, when you lighten up, it's a form of enlightenment. So lighten up.
I love it. I appreciate that. And it's been an incredible opportunity to get to speak with you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to many more conversations.
Yeah. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much.